This is the follow-up video to my recent XTool laser enclosure video. This is the brand new XTool laser fire safety set. All comes very well presented and packaged, as with all the XTool kit. Here I am just doing a quick unboxing, all the different parts. First job is to update the firmware. I tried doing it on my MacBook, but my MacBook refused to unzip the firmware files, so I ended up using a PC. But follow all the instructions on the XTool website, it's all very clear and easy. So once I'd updated the firmware, it's then a case of linking this smart switch. This is the UK plug version. You hold the button down for 5 seconds and then press the link switch on the fire safety set box. It flashes to show that it's connected. Now everything but the fire safety box needs to be plugged into this smart switch. So your air assist, your laser and the extractor fan all need to be plugged into this. This is so that when the fire safety set is activated, if it senses a fire, it will switch those things off, so it's not putting air into the enclosure anymore. This is a special hub. I'm plugging in one of the sensors into that, and then that plugs into the fire safety set, and you can see that light comes on the hub. I'm putting it onto test. There's a little switch there and the green light shows it's in test mode. And here I'm testing the sensor using a lighter, and as you move it near to the sensor, the hub light turns red. As you move it away, it goes back to green. I'm flipping the XTool D1 Pro laser over onto its back, just so I can get to the underside. I'm cleaning the underside so that the 3M sticky tabs stick properly. I'm just using a bit of IPA, and then, as I say, using these little supplied stickers, double-sided stickers, I'm attaching the sensors. They're going in the middle of the frame on each side. This fire safety set will work on any laser in theory, as long as it's in an enclosure. It will only work on an enclosed laser. You've got to have some way of trapping the CO2 to put any fires out. There you can see, sensor installed. Run the wire around the outside and around the leg. As I said, one on each side. All very simple. You route all the wires back towards the switch unit on the laser, and then there's these little cable clips that are supplied. You stick those on and they just hold all the wires in place, keeps it all neat. There we go, all set up, all running round to that one corner where the control panel is. Very simple to do. There I'm attaching the special sensor that goes on the laser head, and that has a cable clip as well. Then reattaching that onto the gantry. This is the hub. The base comes off it to reveal this cable winder. Attach all the sensors. The yellow one is the special one for the laser head, the laser unit. The other 4 sensors go into the other ports, and you wind all the excess cable around that cable winder inside it. Here I'm putting another attachment on with sticky tabs. This is to hold the tubing that pumps the CO2 into the laser enclosure. Big 3M double-sided pad here. This is for connecting that light unit, the control hub, onto the outside of the laser enclosure. I actually, rather than threading those leads through the holes in the side of the laser enclosure, I put them underneath so that as I change the height of the laser it makes it easier, and also when I collapse the box I don't have to unthread everything. Installing the 4 CO2 cylinders, and it does use 4 when it's activated, so if you do activate it you will have to replace these. Put your safety glasses on before you use a laser. I've put a little action cam inside the laser enclosure. This was just a test run to make sure it wasn't activating, or giving false activations. So I was just burning these keyring designs. As you can see, the lights stay green, no false activation. In the next part of this video, I give the XTool fire safety set a full test, which involves starting a fire in the enclosure. Do not try this at home. There is obviously a risk of damaging your laser, damaging the enclosure, everything else around you, and also when the fire safety set is activated, fully activated, it will use up the 4 CO2 cylinders, so you'll have to replace those at your own expense. XTool very kindly sent me 3 sets of cylinders, so it'd have been rude not to put it to the full test. Yeah, like I say, don't try this at home. It was quite tricky to set a fire going in the enclosure. I started off with bits of paper and they triggered the alarm, but they burnt out too quick before the CO2 deployed, which is a good thing because you don't want the CO2 deploying every time there's a little flare up. So it was trying to sustain a fire that was strong enough and long enough to set it going, but without destroying everything. Anyway, I managed it in the end using an old toilet roll. See how I got on. So in goes the toilet roll, nicely ablaze. You can see all the ash from previous attempts. I really should have tidied this up because it made a heck of a mess when the CO2 deployed, and the cleanup took me forever. But yes, it's blazing away quite nicely. And then the alarm is going off. But you see the power turns off, the laser has stopped, and there goes the CO2, blowing all that ash everywhere, but also putting the fire out effectively. The CO2 is deployed in 2 phases, so there's this first burst, and then a few seconds later it releases the rest of the CO2, just to make doubly sure it's putting that fire out. This is the view from outside. You can see the red lights go, the alarm's going, and then the CO2 will deploy. You can see the ash and things shooting out from under the laser enclosure. Eventually I'll make a proper base for this enclosure with a rim round the side just to help contain everything. You can see the smoke and the ash shooting out. It made a heck of a mess. So that's the first CO2 deployment done. And then here comes the second. More mess. Very pleased with the fire safety set. As you could see in the video, it worked brilliantly. It doesn't activate too quickly. It works when it activates. The alarm is good. I would never recommend leaving these lasers running unattended, but with this set at least you don't have to be staring at the enclosure for the entire burn. Some of my cuts and engravings are up to 2 hours long, quite a long time to be watching over a laser. At least when you've got an alarm system and a fire extinguisher built in, you can be getting on with other things in the workshop. As long as you're in close proximity, it's fine. It's just that extra level of protection and confidence in it. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I shall be back soon with some more videos.
More rubbish coming soon.